Okay, thank you. Thank you, Daryl. I know we had some technical issues for those online there. We just got things back online now. So we have some people who are away today. Some are attending the Chiefs of Ontario meeting in Thunder Bay, I do believe. And we have 3 counselors online. So today we have Amos is here, Helen, Audrey, Cynthia, Hazel. And I believe the rest might be out of town. We all reaffirmed that. And online we have Dean is online, Greg is online, and Elena is online to allow us to function. So today, November 18th, is general finance agenda. So is there any items people want to add to the agenda for the open session?
I have one, Chair. I just one item.
Okay, Greg has one. Thank you, Greg. Hazel, you have one
I
for the
just want to
open session?
I want to get clarification on a matter that's on Facebook. What people are saying,
Okay,
is that allowed in open or closed?
well, I'm not sure what their issue is, I guess, depending on whether it can be discussed. I mean, it's on Facebook, so I mean, yeah, yeah, we can just, if it's on Facebook, we'll discuss it, Hazel. So we'll add you at the end along with Greg.
Okay.
So can we have a motion to approve the agenda for November 18th with 2 additions? Moved by Audrey, seconded by Amos. All in favor? Motion is carried. No delegations? Right, yeah, no delegations. So no delegations today. So item number 6, which is the adoption of general finance minutes from the previous meeting of November 4th. And I know it's in your, Tia sent it out to you guys. So it's in the package there if anybody's got any issues or concerns with the minutes from November 4th. If not, I'll ask for a motion to approve those minutes. If there's no issues with them. I know I looked at them, I didn't really notice anything. Cynthia? Cynthia move on the minutes from November 4th. Second to those motion? Seconded by Helen. All in favor? Okay, motion is carried. Um, on item number 7, is that something you, where's Arliss? Oh, she's. So item number 7 is a building expansion change order. I don't know if you want to come up to the chair there, Arliss, in case there's any questions, and is it something you want to discuss in open on contracts? Normally when people discuss contracts, I mean, I know for the proponents, they probably may want them discussed in camera, so I don't know. Because I know this is actually a last minute change, right, or a last minute addition to the agenda. So, I don't know how council feels about that.
We never did change orders in closed meetings before.
No? Okay, so,
Always an open meeting.
so Arliss, you want to just give an overview of it? And I know there's a few concerns and questions, and I know I got some questions as well. So, yeah, sorry, I can't turn down the sun. I know it's a bad spot right there. You have to bring your sunglasses next time. So what we have is a building expansion change orders being requested in relation to the social service expansion building. So we have Arliss here, the Director of Social Services, and then she's gonna give an overview in relation to what has transpired and is occurring, sorry. Go ahead, Arliss.
Okay, good morning, everyone. So everybody knows we're expanding our 15 Sunrise Court Social Services Admin Building. When we've updated the HVAC units in the new part, in the new addition, it was discovered that the old HVAC units were out of date, plus not in compliance with many of the new regulations, so those are required to be replaced. So that's requiring a change order because it was not in the scope of the original contract. So including not only the HVAC units to be replaced, but that will require some interior demolition and renovation so they can run new ductwork. And so the change order is for those matters for the HVAC replacement itself, which have been there since the building was built in 1995. So they're should be replaced and updated. And so the change order is in the amount of $874,000 and $874,017.42 for the work, which includes the HVAC, the demolition, and the installation of new interior ductwork and ceiling tiles.
Any questions from anyone on the issue? Audrey, go ahead.
Yeah, it's surprising to me, Arliss, that this wasn't caught any earlier. It was there since 1995 and they only discovered, well, they should have done the year's check on it to make sure that what needs to be replaced all at one time when they're doing it. So I guess that's what I would like to have spoken to is why wasn't it determined earlier so that it could have been included in the plan at the beginning?
There's a couple of things. And it gets in the briefing note that when the application was submitted to Indigenous Services Canada under CHT 41, that programs that were housed within that facility, within that section of the building, were not funded by Indigenous Services Canada. We argued the point that they were funded under the 65 welfare agreement, but then they said that was not, they were not eligible. So we went hoping that the units there would still continue, and then we would look for alternate funding to do the replacement and upgrades. And with the changes that have happened, we've been informed that we won't be able to receive substantial completion with the units as they are. Yes.
Amos, go ahead.
So Arliss, are we considering this a cost overrun from the original quotes that you have received?
Yes, that's why it's change order 9. I think it's 13, right? 13.
Go ahead,
Can I-
Hazel.
Oh.
Oh,
I was going to ask another question. I'm just here for a year, been here for a year, so I didn't know when you first started. What was the cost to do the whole renovation when you first started and you came to council?
We were approved for the project for a little bit over 15 million. 15, 1-5.
go ahead, Hazel.
Yeah, I think in this situation, and if it's been deemed to be that it's not even up to standards, you have no choices. We just have to approve this for them to go ahead and fix it, right? You can't leave it in there, so we have to move this, and I'll move this to pay for it.
Okay, I just have a few questions before we move on that. A couple of questions I have, Arliss. Like, and maybe I'm wrong, but when I have a concept of a change order, means you have a project, and let's use your example of 15 million. So you have within that project, you have a contingency of 1.5, which is usually around 10% of whatever the project is. And then when you have the work going on and you have a change order, then your change order, it gets usually attached to that 1.5, which becomes the contingency. So I don't really see this as a change order. I see this as a reapproval of your project. Because now, and that's me when I look at some of the capital projects that I was on in the past, because it's such a huge dollar amount, like to me, this is a reapproval of your project, maybe a little more than a change order, because usually a change order is covered off within a contingency amount. When, let's say they had to buy new equipment or something broke, then yeah, you might be spending $100,000 out of that contingency. So, so just so council's aware that to me, this is an actual reapproval of the overall project, because you said it wasn't in the scope of the work, and then when they did their testing for the ground, when they did their pilot holes and they didn't discover anything in there, and then when they got through excavation, they discovered that stuff. And with the HVAC equipment, I know the plan was to try and save it and utilize it, but now you've determined that it can't be utilized. So to me, I find this as, just so council aware, if we're gonna do this, then it's, to me, it's a reapproval of your overall project. So that's my one thought. And the other one is, I know this, came in late on Friday and it's on the agenda for today, and having the signatures and confirmation, I guess that's, I don't mean to put Jennifer on the spot, but I mean, just to reaffirm that we're within your briefing note that you're saying where the funds are available, that just to have our director of finance, our chief financial officer confirm that the funds are available to allocate to reapprove this project. Um, yeah, I think those are my two questions that I had, so we can discuss those, or Hazel, you were gonna move on it. Oh, Audrey had a question, sorry, go ahead, Audrey.
Yeah, my question was similar, and it's at the last part of the therefore be it resolved. And that's where the funding comes from, and it's kind of like very vague, is that it comes from the existing social services reserves or the prevention funding should Indigenous Services Canada decline the additional cost. And I think you said that they probably are going to decline it. Is that correct? I can't hear you. Okay, well, you can't say, you can't say. So we're leaving this to Jennifer to figure out, or who are we leaving it to?
Yeah, Jennifer, but there will be funding there to cover it one way or the other.
Okay. That correct?
Contingency fund?
Contingency fund has been, pretty much used for a variety of other things.
And yeah,
Yeah.
and yeah, contingencies are usually within an allocation, so if it, like the example I gave Helen, if it's 1.5, so when there's small changes, it would be within that 1.5, which was the total amount of what was previously approved by council. But now this is totally new, that's what I'm saying, to me, this is an actual reapproval of your project, because this was outside of the original scope of work, and they're deeming that it's necessary and needs to be done. So that's what I'm looking at, and that's the only thing I was looking at, just confirmation of the fund. Our list and Amos.
Yeah, there was a big cost when we started the building for the centerpiece of the building. There was a lot more, damage with the structural piece of it than what was thought to be when they did the initial inspection. So there was a lot of cost to bulk up, the foundation and the, additional, basement that's going into the facility. So that took a lot of the contingency fund. It doesn't take long to eat up, $1 million these days.
Just
Go
a
ahead,
question.
Amos.
Yeah, just wanted to know, with Jennifer and Arlis here, how time sensitive is this? Can it wait till the next finance meeting and we can identify in the resolution, Jennifer, where the money is coming from? Because this is our record. We should source the funding.
From the reserves. What's the funding said?
I think Amos, the
Well,
question
time
is
How
in
time
relation
sensitive
to
is
that,
it?
where
Is it
that funds are,
tomorrow
we're
or-
gonna confirm
Sorry,
that.
my first question.
The contractor and needs to start, doing the design. So it's, the longer we delay, the further delays we're gonna have with the, building, and it's gonna put different things behind schedule. So even if we get the approval to move ahead, like you said, like, it has to be done, then we can validate the source of funds at the next, finance meeting.
So what do you wanna put back on the agenda?
Well, just for the sources, for this, when the minutes come up, we should identify business arising from the minutes, where they source the funding for this additional 870 something thousand.
I mean, to be honest, and that's me, I'd feel comfortable confirming the funds first before we start authorizing expenditure of funds. If we, to confirm, that would be due process for me. Hazel?
I look at it in terms of the difficulty with the HVAC and that it's not gonna be, um, good for anybody to leave it in there. So that means no matter what fund it comes out or whatever, it's still gotta get replaced. I think, in my mind, we could approve for this to happen, and like Arliss and Jennifer, they can let us know next meeting where they have found the, funds to go ahead with this now. Because you don't wanna set it back, and I guess what I'm thinking too is, whoever evaluated the building and didn't find all of these difficult things, like, um, what do you call a person who evaluates a building when you're gonna renovate?
Usually they have a project manager, and that's a question I have for Arliss, I guess, just looking at the background information with the sign off from the project manager, and there's usually a designer and an architect who's gone through all that process. So they've, yeah, I mean, if their original thought was that the HVAC was going to be good, and through the whole testing they didn't find that stuff in the ground, I can understand that point. But I don't think anybody's denying that it isn't required, Hazel. But I think it's just a matter of due process and confirmation of funds for my viewpoint. But so Arliss, just another question. Who's your project manager? Is that KL? So KL, so is there, is,
From, oops, KL, Martin is our, contractor, and Vince Longboat is our
mhm.
tech
Is
person
that
on.
that? I was just looking for a recommendation from them. Did they, I thought I seen one in the briefing note. Is that
Yeah,
that, is that the Hutchinson one? He?
Yep, Fran
Okay.
Hutchinson,
Yeah,
and
okay.
then, I got, Vince to like validate that
Okay.
the work needed to be done.
You have a comment, Jennifer?
I was just going to say that if council agrees, at the next general finance meeting, I can put this on the agenda and give you a variety of different sources that it could be taken from. I do feel confident that, we could find source of funds, and also, especially since you can't really finish the project without this, then I could prioritize a few different areas, but then leave it to council for the final decision of exactly where it comes from.
I was thinking even if we bring it just to the next general council meeting, as if it's that urgent, that once the confirmation that you have 100% that it's there. And Dean is online, and Dean has a question. So go ahead, Dean. Can't hear you, Dean. I don't know if you're on mute or.
Yeah, I'm just going to the airport right now. I would just suggest we just go through with it right now. Then they can come back with the funds because the funds are there. They just don't have them right now at this meeting. So there's no reason for us to delay it because we may or may not think that. Yes, thank you. Okay.
Okay, Audrey, last comment, and we'll make a decision here. We're still discussing it yet.
I guess that, my oh, sorry, the change order as opposed to,
Yeah, my comment was, to me, this would be a reapproval of the contract, and that kind of gets into other issues with the actual contractor and the project manager, whether they're gonna reissue a contract for the dollar amount. And so I don't know if they want to deem this a change order, because it's actually over and we're reapproving this project for a total amount. So amendment to the contract, yes, and to me, that's what it would be, an amendment to the contract.
I'm fine with that too.
So Jennifer, they're looking at now, because to me, this would be an amendment to the contract, and Hazel is moving on it, that we amend the contract to that dollar amount. I guess that just the confirmation of the funds from you, and Audrey's willing to second, so. Did you want to wait till a confirmation and we bring it back, which is December 2nd, I believe would be the next general council meeting, or a full council meeting?
I was just gonna say, I could bring it back.
No, she wants to talk.
We can bring it back to
Okay.
So are you voting today?
No.
Yeah, we'll bring this back to general council next week for further discussion and have a source of funds then.
Okay. So, our chief financial officer will confirm funds and then we'll move on it. And if Arliss push comes to shove, then we can also look at the email stuff, email polls. All right? Okay. Okay, so that's item number 7. It'll be temporarily deterred once Jennifer does that. 2 items, whether we can do it next general council or even through an email poll if it becomes an urgent issue with the project manager. Okay, item number 8. Again, social services, Stone Ridge fiber optic. So Arliss, you want to discuss that?
The fiber optics from Stone Ridge is done through radio connection, and it's been there for I don't know how many years. And so with the high winds and age, we're offline more than we're online, so it's interfering with a lot of the business and work that we do. Relocating staff, having staff get to the office and then go home because they can't access wireless. So IT did provide a quote just for the construction and supplies in the amount of 500 and some odd thousand. 524, but I've been trying to get them to give me a full cost of what
Yeah.
like latchkey kind of thing is.
Yeah.
And so we need to get this work done, so I'm not sure whether that's the first stage is approving the amount, and then, well, that was just my estimate, 10%, right? But I don't think that, whether that's going to be accurate or not, but to get the project kind of like approved to move forward, to get fiber, so that they can get the drawings and what's needed, to be able to change from radio connection to fiber. And that company, um, Hamilton Community, oh, it's not in there. They're the ones that IT uses, so I've been working with IT to get the quote, and they'll be the ones in charge of doing the work.
Yeah, because your total ask then would be 576,400, which would be the 10% of that 524. And usually, I don't think drawings cost more than that. Usually within that, usually less. Because when you do a project, I'm looking at about 5-6%, if that, if it's a start right from scratch. So, and I know you've identified, you have 2 profit centers that you've identified, I guess, to confirm that the funds are there. So then on item number 8, council, just for your information, it's for, therefore be resolved that Six Nations Department of Information and Technology be approved to work with Hamilton Community Enterprise to accurately quote, which is a little bit of an issue, I guess. Required an initial cost of $524,000 for the contractor and material costs, and an allowance of 10% of $52,400 to design the system that they want for the construction drawings. So that total number would be $576,400. Arliss?
Yeah, and once we get the final amount, we'll bring it back for final approval, but now we just want to get that base approved so we can start working on solving the internet connection.
Yeah, because I read the material, even the contractor's wording is a little bit weak there, and to be accurate, I guess, in what he wants to do. And I don't know, I understand there's unknown, especially when they want to start working with stuff in the ground they can't see, so, and they want to install that. So the ask here is to approve this for, and I'm estimating $576,400 from the 2 profit centers that have been identified by Arliss and Jennifer. If anybody wants to move that. Moved by Cynthia, seconded by Audrey. All in favor? Okay, I assume everybody online is in favor as well, so the motion is carried. Want to waive second reading on that? Moved by Audrey, seconded by Cynthia. All in favor for second reading? Motion is carried. Thank you, Arliss. Item number 9. A request donation for Brant Regional Indigenous Support Center. They're looking for a donation. I think there was a briefing note in your package, and I think it's for their Christmas Christmas festivities that they want to have, asking council for donations. So if any comments or concerns with it. Yeah, I didn't notice any dollar amount in that packaging, so they're just, so. Audrey, question?
Am I asking it to you? How many people from Six Nations will this affect?
I don't have that information.
Hard to make a decision.
Yeah, I think in their briefing, or they're in the material, they're just asking for whatever donations to help with cover costs or products or anything to help that. And I think they do the same thing that we do here when we give out Christmas baskets. And I know that's an expense that Six Nations takes on an annual basis. So I don't know. To me, we're looking after our individuals here, and I don't know how much more we can expand beyond that. So it's up to council. Helen?
Yeah, I'm gonna move to support this. I know we have a lot of Six Nations people in Bradford. I don't need to have figures in front of me. I know there's a lot.
Pull your mic down, Helen. Nobody could hear you.
I'm gonna move to support this because, I know we have a lot of people from Six Nations living in Bradford, even though there's not a figure here, but I know there is a lot.
Yeah, it makes it difficult for Jennifer to do something like, what are we gonna support? We're gonna support giving them products, we're gonna support giving them money, or, and even if so, what's the dollar amount? Is it?
I'm suggesting that we give them money
Do you have a dollar
with
figure?
accountability behind it, of course.
I think this is new to council, I believe. Is this new, Becky? Okay, and Becky just recalled some historical information there that in 2018, they did come to council to ask for a letter of support, and so
I-
that's been the only communication since then. And
For-
that's, so now this is I guess, a new request for actual support of somewhat from Six Nations. Helen?
I would suggest just coming up with a figure and saying, this is what we're gonna give you, 2,000 or 3,000 or. Cause that's all they're asking for, is support. They're not coming to us and saying, oh, we want $10,000 or something. So just attach a number to it. If you guys wanna agree to it, attach a number to it, how much we would give.
It would be beneficial for Jennifer. You have a comment, Jennifer?
I was going to say that we have supported similar type of organizations for off-reserve support in the past. And it's, from what I could see, it's typically in the $1,500 to $2,000 range. I know that when this came in, we did put it out to the SAT team to ask if there was any donations from any of the programs that they could push forward, thinking more in items or that type of thing. And we didn't get an immediate response from the SAT team. And I do know that we do have some gift cards that we could give. So it's just a matter of council determining how much and in what mechanism, and then we'll arrange that.
Okay, so Councillor Helen is suggesting $2,000, and are you moving on that, Helen? Or you
Yeah, I'll
already-
move on that.
So Helen is moved to support Brisk in the amount of up to an amount of $200,000. 2,000, sorry, $2,000. And Audrey is seconding that motion. All in favor of that motion? Okay, motion is carried. Second reading on that? Moved by Cynthia, seconded by Helen. All in favor to waive second reading? Carried, motion is carried. So I guess Jennifer, can be up to 2,000. You can determine how the details of it, whether it becomes those cards or whatever. Yeah, you can work out the details for that. All right?
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay, item number 10, comprehensive funding agreement amendment 143. So Jennifer, you want to speak about that?
Thank you, Chair. Recommendation 10.1, whereas Six Nations of the Grand River Elected Council has entered into a 5-year comprehensive funding agreement with Indigenous Services Canada And whereas contribution funding agreement amendment number 143 has been received for council approval and signatures, therefore be it resolved that the Six Nations of the Grand River Elected Council approve and sign the following comprehensive funding agreement amendment number 143 for the fiscal year 2024-2025 between His Majesty the King in right of Canada as represented by the Minister of Indigenous Services Canada and the Six Nations of the Grand River. Amendment includes additional funding for the following department, program, or project. Education for elementary and secondary school support, $864,386.
Can I have someone move on that motion? Moved by Audrey, seconded by Amos. All in favor of that motion? Motion is carried. Recommendation to waive second reading. Moved by Audrey, seconded by Amos. All in favor? Okay, motion is carried. So you're just gonna send that around and we'll sign it? Cause there's what, 2, 3, there's 6 of us here, so you probably need one more when somebody comes back. Question by Audrey?
Yeah, what is it allotted for?
This is an existing program that we facilitate actually through Central Finance. And it's for the secondary support, attendance and enrollment awards that we hand out on a monthly basis. In addition to that, we utilize this to provide funds to the elementary and secondary schools for achievement awards.
Yeah,
Thank you. Okay, item number 11 is the financial agreement reports, and these are contribution agreements or funding arrangements that have come to council, and in the past, they've been signed off by the chief, the CEO or CFO. So this is coming for post approval to the formality of council as the authorized body to accept these. So this is a post approval to accept all the funding agreements that have been signed. So I don't know if you want to just briefly talk about them, Jennifer?
Thank you. So yes, as Councillor Dale explained, these are obviously not the contribution funding agreements because those are brought to council for full signature, but these are agreements that do not require from the funder full council agreement approval at the time of accepting it. So we're looking for post approval. I have sent in a listing of agreements that were received since the last time this was presented to you and listed out for all of those. So much of this has to do with things like the Six Nations Paramedic Services Fund. The agreement has been received for that in the amount of $4 million. Some of the other notable agreements are for the Community Paramedicine for Long-Term Care Program for $853,000. But as you can see on the report that was put into the Dropbox, it does touch a number of our departments and programs. And in total, since the last time this was presented, there's been $5.6 million that has been received and accepted by either the former CEO, the chief, or myself to enter into those agreements.
Thank you, Jennifer. Can I ask someone to move on this motion to have post approval on the funding agreements that have been previously signed off? Moved by Hazel, seconded by Cynthia. All in favor? Motion is carried. Since these are already done, we probably won't need to do second reading. It'll just come up in the minutes for the next meeting. So item number 12, ratification of an email. So it was moved by me, second by Melba, that the committee recommend to the Six Nations of the Grand River Elected Council. This grand needs to be spelled properly there. Forgot the N. And it says, whereas the Chiefs of Ontario were well represented in a decision to support a final settlement agreement that included prevention funding, First Nation representative funding, Children First Nations housing funding, and topped up for family support, poverty in brackets, IT results, and post-majority support, remoteness, and capital. Said whereas Six Nations of the Grand River Elected Council as the First Nation in Ontario should have a technical and political representative on the Ontario negotiating table. Whereas Social Services Coordination Unit has provided technical support to the political leadership negotiating team and the Chiefs Committee on Social Services. So therefore resolved that the Six Nations of the Grand River Elected Council support the resolution exploring a final agreement on long-term reform of the First Nations Child and Family Services Program for Ontario and include a political representative, chief or designate from the Chiefs Committee on Social Services and technical representative from Six Nations from the Social Services Coordination Unit. So that's the resolution that went around in email poll. So we're looking to ratify it. Question by Audrey.
Okay, my question is, if we are supporting the first resolution, the second one is saying that we need representative from Six Nations. What if they don't go for that half of the motion? Should it be two motions? That's my question.
Any comments, Arliss? Oh,
If we're gonna go on camera, maybe you can give us the highlights of
yeah.
this agreement, because I read several versions of it now, and I heard Cindy Blackstock on CBC talking about it, and they did a great job, so I'm trying to catch up.
So can you give
Give us
a
agreement?
public overview, Arliss, of this? And
After?
formal decision, I guess that was the email poll, so it's,
So we're now the agreement is now being broken up into regions? Is that what the consensus seems to be?
I can't speak to that because that's a strategy.
so we'll table this to in camera in relation to the, because I know I read it already, but it's being tabled. So Helen.
Yeah, I sent out some documents on the weekend. I don't know if anybody looked at them. And that the final agreement thing is in those documents, like next steps. It's all in those documents I sent. Because I went to the dialogue meeting. Was you there Thursday and Friday, the dialogue meeting? I went there and they talked about the final settlement and they talked about all the next steps. So it's all in those documents that I sent out on the weekend if you want to read it.
So we'll defer this item into in camera for formal ratification, I guess, and discussion. Thank you, Arliss. On your, there has recommendation 12.3 is just for I guess scheduling, and that's I guess was done by email poll as well, and I think that's where Mr. Fraser is today to attend the Chiefs of Ontario Fall Assembly in Thunder Bay. So go ahead, Helen.
I just want to say that we have a lot of counselors traveling all over the place. We've not gotten any reports. I'm to understand when counselors travel, they're supposed to give reports. We've got nothing from anyone.
Thank you, Helen. So I guess just FYI to everyone.
Sorry, I should have said we got reports from Cynthia the last time she went Iroquois caucus, I think.
Okay.
But most of them aren't writing reports, and they're supposed to be. Even the election code says you're supposed to write reports.
So a little bit of a side note in relation to the resolution, but the resolution, it was moved by Kerry, second by Dean, that the Six Nations of the Grand River Elected Council delegate Councillor Greg Fraser to attend the Chiefs of Ontario Fall Assembly in Thunder Bay, which is from November the 18th to the 21st. So can we have a mover to ratify that? Moved by Amos, seconded by Audrey. All in favor? Do you have a question as well,
I'll
Amos?
move if we put the word ratify in there, because we've already
Yes.
dealt with it, so it's gotta be ratified, it
Yes.
can't be a new motion.
Yeah,
right?
it was just a due process that something
Yeah.
council established years ago, that when they
Yeah.
do an email poll, that it would come to the next sitting council.
I just wanna
for
make our
ratification.
secretary aware of that, it has to have ratify
Yes.
in this
Okay.
motion. Okay, I'll move it.
Moved by Amos, second by Audrey, to ratify the email poll. All in favor? Motion is carried. Second reading on that? Moved by Amos, second by Audrey, all in favor? Motion is carried. So 12-2, 12-3. And we had two new items for new business. And one was Councillor Gregg and Councillor Hazel. So Greg, we'll do yours first.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. Yeah, I'd just like to thank the Firefighters Gala Committee for putting on a great event there last week. It was well attended by the community, as well as, and we'd also like to thank all of the sponsors. I do not have it in front of me, the program and program agenda, but I would like to thank all the sponsors that sponsored all the tables, as well as well of our staff and Lee Thompson as well as doing the organization for that, and of course the volunteers. It was a fun night. It was different, adding the casino portion to it. It was very well, like I was saying, very well attended. The proceeds, I guess, will go to the firefighters, and I would also like to thank Mike Seth and also Crystal Farmer as well for their help in organizing it. And of course, I'd like to congratulate all of the people that were recognized, including our former councillor, Big Dave. Everyone knows Big Dave and all the work that he has done for council, and I congratulate his family on that. I'd also like to thank the community for coming out. It was a great event, well attended right to the end, a lot of fun, and hopefully we can do it again next year. And again, I know that we'd like to thank all the firefighters for all their service, and of course the police as well. They have a very dangerous job, and they do keep our community safe. Of course, they're always running a shortfall in their budget. As you know, ISK doesn't fund them as well as they should. It's actually quite a bit like peanuts compared to the size of our fire service. And as we also provide services to other communities as well when we're needed. So it was well attended, and hopefully we can make it bigger and better for next year. So thank you, community, for coming out and supporting that.
Thank you, Councillor Fraser. Yeah, I know I'm gonna ask the winner if I can fit in the suitcase for the Paris trip. Which was a nice prize. Terry White won it. Yeah, from paramedics. But yeah, that was be a nice trip. But yeah, just to follow up on some of Greg's comments, and this is kind of historical information from a few years back. And I don't know if it was Mike or Matt when he was fire chief. They just did a cost comparison in regards to a head count, I guess, if you just to try and simplify the funding process. And I think Six Nations per capita was like maybe $20, $25. Whereas if you compare that to an off-reserve municipality who has a fire department, their per capita per head was like maybe $80, $90, even up to $100 per head. So you can see the huge discrepancy in the amount of funding that comes from ISK as it relates to fire services and fire protection. So Councillor Gregg is correct. There's a huge discrepancy in that. So that's just information. Thank you, Greg, for your update, and yeah, it was an excellent event. Hazel, you had something that you wanted to discuss. You said had appeared on Facebook.
Yeah, I have been reading the comments, I guess, in regards to the Little Treasure situation whereby it was supposed to close last Friday. I understand it's now open till Christmas. There's just some information that is out on Facebook, and as far as I know, I'm wondering, or everybody's saying the same thing, that council's sending money back, and how come they don't send it them over there? I don't know which money they're talking about because this table has never discussed any money going back from here. I guess a lot of the comments, council has been really viewed as not very cooperative or whatever. And we all know that everybody needs and wants daycare for their children. Um, Sometimes I know people that I know who have had to go off reserve to daycares and pay the higher cost, but always had their name in here waiting to get a spot as soon as one became available. But this fact that keeps coming up that council's sending money back when they should be sending it over there, I'm totally mixed up or amazed at that comment. So does anybody know if that's true? Thanks.
Any comments from anyone in relation to the comments on Facebook? Helen, go ahead.
Well, in my opinion, I think this whole situation hasn't been handled properly. Um, when we found out what was going on, I think we should have had a special council meeting and talked about it and went through everything. Um, like Dale said, the contribution agreement say certain things. We should all know that. I know there's going to be a story in the Turtle Island News this week, and it's going to be about, she called the ministry, and the ministry told her that private daycare and council daycare are like two separate things, and the private daycare can get money, but they got to apply through council. But Dale's telling me that's not how it works, that the contribution agreements tell us what we can do with the money and what we can't do with the money. So we should have had a meeting to go through all of this so that we could probably talk to people when it comes up. They're bashing the Stanley Cup thing, they're bashing the swimming pool. How can you spend money on a swimming pool when you got all these people with no daycare? We don't know if Arliss has any extra spaces. We don't know if Arliss can make extra spaces if she had the money. we don't know anything. So we were not prepared to deal with this situation. We should have had a meeting and got everything out in the open and come up with that statement. Everybody's bashing that statement we made because they know Arliss don't have any spaces, but you're just telling people to register with Arliss. So they're bashing that statement big time. And that's my thinking. We got to start meeting on these kind of things. Even that thing, that final child welfare agreement that Amos is referencing, we should have had a meeting on that before our representatives went to Thunder Bay so that we could talk about this is the next steps and this is what Sheridan's going to be approving. And right now, none of us even, if I know because I read it, but we don't know what she's approving because we never went through it. And we should have went through that before they went, just so that we know what's being approved. So if you read the document that I sent, you'll all see the next steps, and that's what they're going to be voting on this week is the next steps and what's going after. So those are just my concerns. But this daycare thing is getting way out of whack, and it's because it hasn't been dealt with properly.
Do you have any comments, Arliss? Yes or no? No. I know this with the little treasures. I know it's not a new issue. It's been usually comes here probably for the last 10, 12, 15 years. It's been coming here, and a lot of it is in regards to the funding allocation. And I know, like Helen had outlined, the contribution agreement that Six Nations has with the funders is for band operated daycares. And it makes it difficult if to allocate funds based on an agreement that we sign and agree to fund the Six Nations band owner operated daycares, and then to try and give funds to a private initiative, and makes it difficult for us to even want to even consider we're going to violate that contribution agreement that we are agreeing to. So it makes it difficult for us to allocate resources outside of what the funding agreement says. I know it was commented that the ministry people says it's up to the Six Nations elected council, which kind of it isn't because we signed a contribution agreement. So to me, that's a little contradiction from the ministry people if that's what they're saying and telling Little Treasures that Six Nations can allocate funds when we really can't based on the funding agreement that we get. So, and I know I don't know if the waiting list. How long is the waiting list? Are they still a couple of years? Okay, so, mhm. Yeah, so Arla's just outlined some issues that the existing daycare is going through, staffing issues and spacing issues, so it is an ongoing issue, and I know COVID has had a big impact in the operation of that, so. So it is difficult for council, for me, a primary reason is to violate the contribution agreement that we agreed to and sign off on to allocate resources, and it's for the band operated funds. And I mean, and I know everybody needs daycare, and I know when my children were little, I had the same issues. I know for one child, for 2 years, back, that was like, what, 35 years ago, I paid $150 a week. And that was just from Monday to Friday, from 9 till 3. So it made it difficult. So we did it. Hazel, comment?
Yeah, the way I view this also is the fact that if a daycare such as Little Treasures is identified as a private business, we have to be careful because if you grant a private business money to keep them afloat, there's how many other businesses on this reserve who could also say, well, I want some money to keep afloat too. Like, we could put ourselves in a real situation. There's so many factors that everybody does not know, and then they just assume. Bottom line, I guess it's just that they're upset about the children, and I guess we do need a meeting, Helen. Thanks. I guess we do need a meeting.
Thank you. Amos?
Yeah, I think it begs us to really look at our demographics in this community. Like, how many more spaces are we going to need in the next 10 years? Weighed against, when the children age out of daycare, you can balance all of that. I don't know whether we have those kind of that kind of data, but I think we really got to get behind this and get in front of it. I mean, to start looking at the population, the demographics in this community. Like even when I went to well-being, I wanted to know, what are we dying of in this community? What is it? How healthy are we? So we need that kind of data to do any kind of planning, to be forward thinking with our demographics in this community and how to help our community. And I've been calling on that since I think maybe the first couple of meetings when I joined this council. We got to start getting in front of it and going forward in our planning. And maybe this next year we can get solid and start looking at that kind of data and demographics.
Thank you, Amos. So that's the open agenda for November 18th, so general finance. And we have a motion to adjourn to go to in camera. Moved by Amos, seconded by Hazel, that we adjourn to go in camera. All in favor? Motion is carried. Thank you everyone for joining. Have a good day. Be safe. Take care.